Hi, in this part, we will cover the topic robot control. So, what is the purpose of robot control? Let's understand it with this example. In this example, a R robot is given. Its end effector is moving from this point to this point following this path. We have to identify the way in which these joint motors are controlled in order to achieve this trajectory. So the objective is to achieve a desired end effector trajectory. And in this problem, we are given the sensor readings of end effector motion. So this end effector motion can be measured using the given sensors. Geometry of links, geometry of these links are given, and also mass, inertia, friction of different elements of this robot are given. The equations corresponding to forward kinematics, inverse kinematics, and forward inverse dynamics are given. So we have to use all these given informations to calculate the desired joint torques of each joint motor to achieve this particular trajectory. So what is the role of control in this complete process? Actually, the robot control provides an algorithm in which these given informations are used to calculate the required torque automatically. These control algorithms may be a type of feedback control, or it may be a type of feed forward control. So first of all, we will learn the detail about these feed forward and the feedback loop control. Let's take a robot, and we wish this robot to follow a desired end effector trajectory. So the next step will be to use all the given informations to compute the torque of joint motors. For that purpose, we will use inverse model. So inverse model will use all the given information to compute the joint torques. And this joint torque will be applied on the robot joints through the motor. And finally, we will get the actual end effector trajectory. This method of robot control is known as open loop control. So in open loop control, we don't compare the actual trajectory with the desired trajectory, or the outcome is not compared with the goal or command. In real practice or in actual practice, the robot is affected with some disturbances. These disturbances may make the actual trajectory very different from the desired or expected trajectory. To tackle this problem, we measure or model this disturbance and incorporate it in the inverse model. In other words, we take these disturbances as a given information and it is used in the inverse model. Once we incorporate the disturbances in the inverse model, the resulting actual trajectory will almost be same as the desired one or as the expected trajectory. This type of control is known as feed-forward control. Another method to control the end effector trajectory is popularly known as the feedback control. This method is very popular because of two reasons. Firstly, we don't need to measure the disturbances. Secondly, we may skip the need of a inverse model. In the feedback control method, the actual end trajectory is continuously measured and compared with the desired trajectory. A control law compares the actual and desired trajectory and gives the torque command to the robot. The feedback control is categorized into two parts. The first one is on-off type and the second one is a servo type. In this on-off control feedback control method, The actual trajectory is compared with respect to a threshold. And once the actual trajectory deviates from the threshold, the control system is switched on and it makes the actual trajectory to follow the expected one. But in the servo method of feedback control, the control signal continuously changes itself to reduce the difference between desired and the actual trajectory. Let's understand this servo method of feedback control with help of a spring mass system. Let's consider that this point denotes equilibrium point of the spring mass system. The mass has been deviated from its equilibrium. So the spring works as a feedback control and it tries continuously to bring the mass to its equilibrium position. Let's understand the servo method of feedback control in more detail using some mathematical derivation. For this purpose, I have taken a spring mass system with some damping. The coefficient of damping is B. The mass is denoted by term M. Spring constant is K, and the deviation of mass from the equilibrium position is denoted by the term X. Here F denotes the external force. Here the objective is position regulation and we have to achieve critically damped response regardless of the disturbance forces applied on the block. So in this problem, the variable f may hold any value. Also, the constant b, k, or m may hold any value. But we know that for critically damped response, the value of b should be equal to 2 under root km. This condition is not true with this given system. But still, we can make this system a critically damped system using feedback control. How we will do that? Let's see in the further discussion. The equation of motion for this system will be mx double dot plus bx dot plus kx is equal to externally applied force F. So here we are given this situation where the system containing a spring, a mass, and some damping is subjected to an external force F. For feedback control, we need to measure the trajectory information, that means motion information. These informations, along with the manipulator dynamics and the kinematics, are used in the control law. The proposed control law describes or prescribes the force equals to minus kpx minus kvx dot. The closed loop dynamics will take this form. The equation of motion equals to externally applied force, that is equal to minus kpx minus kvx dot. After a simple rearrangement, we can get this expression. This equation actually represents an equivalent system of spring mass damper having mass m, damping v dash, and stiffness k dash. This system is under a force, but this system is free from any external force. B dash is equal to B plus KB, K dash is equal to K plus KP. So what this system, the new system represents? It represents that this overall system or this closed loop system is free from any external force. So its behavior will be controlled only by the term Kv and Kp if the system properties like mass, damping, and stiffness are constant. So by setting the control gains Kv, Kp, we cause the closed loop system to appear to have any second order system behaviors that we require, that we wish. For example, the closed loop stiffness K dash and closed loop damping B dash is equal to 2 root mk dash will make the closed loop system to behave like a critically damped system. Let's solve a numerical example. So in this numerical example, the mass value is 1, the value of damping is 1, stiffness coefficient is equal to 1. We have to find the gains Kp and Kv for a position regulation control law that results in the systems being critically damped with a closed loop stiffness of 16. That means K dash is given and the value of K dash is 16. For critically damped closed loop system, the B dash value should be equal to 2 root m K dash. We know that the value of K dash is 16, value of m is equal to 1. So this B dash will be equal to 8. We have already derived the relationship between K dash and Kp and B dash Kv. So K dash is equal to K plus Kp and B dash is equal to B plus Kv. That means Kp will be equal to 15 and Kv will be equal to 7. Kv is equal to 7. In this method, we should remember the two observations. The first observation is that the closed loop system response is mx double dot plus b dash x dot plus k dash x is equal to 0. That means the dynamics response of closed loop system will be depending on the system properties like its mass, its damping coefficient, spring stiffness. The good thing is that it is independent of the external force, but still it is dependent on the system properties. So in order to set your desired system response, you should know the values of m, b dash and k dash. The second observation. In this approach, the values of Kp and Kv are dependent on the system properties M, B and K. In order to eliminate this dependency on mass, damping and stiffness, another approach is proposed. Another approach is used. This approach is known as control law partitioning. In this method, the whole control law is partitioned into two parts. The first part and the second part. This part is known as the servo-based part of the control law. And this part is known as the model-based portion of the control law. And obviously the feedback is taken by some sensors. So the model-based portion makes use of the supposed knowledge of MBK, supposed knowledge of mass, damping and stiffness. And the servo-based portion is independent of mass, damping and stiffness. So the advantages are that the system's parameter appear only in the model-based portion and the servo portion is independent of these parameters. The closed loop system response is also independent of mass, damping and stiffness. The servo portion of the control law uses this expression, that is f dash is equal to minus kpx minus kvx dot. And the model based portion uses the relationship f is equal to f dash alpha plus beta. Equation of motion of the system is mx double dot plus bx dot plus kx is equal to the externally applied force F. So the closed loop dynamics of the system will be equal to mx double dot plus bx dot plus kx is equal to alpha f dash plus beta, where f dash is given in this expression. It is defined that the value of alpha is equal to the value of mass and the beta is equal to this expression. After substituting the value of alpha and beta, we get this expression, that is x double dot is equal to f dash, and we know that f dash can be written equal to minus kpx minus kvx dot. Finally, the resulting equation will be x double dot plus kvx dot plus kpx will be equal to 0. This will be the closed loop dynamics of the system. In the previous method, the closed loop response was mx double dot plus b dash x dot plus k dash x is equal to 0. So you can see the difference in this method. So under this methodology, the setting of control gains is simple and it is independent of the system parameters. We know that the measurements x double dot, x dot and x are real values. So if we solve these expressions, then b square minus 4ac will be positive or 0. And finally, we will get this relation kv is equal to 2 root kp. Let's take a numerical example. And in this example, the value of mass is 1, damping coefficient is 1, stiffness is again 1. We have to find value of alpha and beta and the gains kp and kv for a position regulation control law that results in the systems being critically damped with a closed loop stiffness of 16. We know that alpha is equal to mass, that is equal to 1, and beta is equal to E x dot plus kx, that is equal to x dot plus x. We know that in this method, the closed loop system response takes the form x double dot plus kvx dot plus kpx equals 0. It is given that the closed loop stiffness is 16. That means the value of kp is equal to 16 directly. We know that the value of kv should be equal to 2 under root kp. So if we substitute the value of kp in this equation, we will get kv equals to 8. In the previous two examples, the position control was applied to maintain the equilibrium position. So it was suitable for a particular position or for a particular goal. But how we will apply the methods for trajectory following control? For that purpose, we apply the prescribed trajectory informations in this particular way. So the acceleration information of the prescribed trajectory is applied over here. The position information of trajectory is applied at this place to compare with the measured position of robot. And the velocity of prescribed trajectory is compared with the velocity of actual trajectory, and error signal is generated. So for this particular scenario, the servo control will follow this expression. F dash is equal to xt double dot plus kp into e plus kv into e dot. We know that the application of this model based portion makes this whole system equivalent to a unit mass without any damping or without any spring stiffness. So the f dash will be equal to x dot, because for m is equal to 1, b is equal to 0 and k is equal to 0. After substituting f dash is equal to x double dot, we get this equation. Bring the x double bring the x double dot in the right hand side, and we will get this expression, that is E double dot plus kv E dot plus kpe is equal to 0, where E is equal to x minus xd. So the steady state error is 0. Why? Because at steady state E double dot will be 0, E dot will be 0. So we will get kpe is equal to 0. That means E is equal to 0. So at the steady state, the x will exactly be same as xd. That means the robot end effector will follow the prescribed trajectory. The transient response can be made critically damped if we follow the relation kv is equal to 2 under root kp. Let's consider another case. A case where the system is affected by an external disturbance FDIST. So FDIST represents external disturbance. When this external disturbance was not acting on the system, then we derived that E is equal to 0 and the trajectory will follow the prescribed trajectory. But here the question arises that how to make the steady state error 0 under the application of this external disturbance. For that purpose, we add an integral term with the closed loop dynamics equation. So this is the closed loop dynamics of the system, and we have added an integral term to eliminate steady state error. Let's differentiate this equation with respect to time, and we will get E triple dot plus kv E double dot plus kp E dot plus kie is equal to f disturbance dot. We know that at the steady state, these values will be 0. So finally, we will get kie is equal to 0 if the disturbance is a constant value. So the end effector will follow the prescribed trajectory. With this control law, the system becomes a third order system. To make it second order system, we often keep the value of ki very small, and it makes the third order system very close to the second order system. This form of control law is called as PID control law, or proportional integral derivative control law. Thank you for your kind attention.